What's trending? The economy.
So we told you yesterday, Sean Scott, the socialist state representative, he is a representative of the Democratic Party, socialism, democratism, one and the same, who represents Seattle in Olympia. And he announced yesterday a statewide payroll tax. Statewide payroll tax that is designed after the Jumpstart tax in the city of Seattle, which has clearly been linked to lots of jobs leaving the city of Seattle and going to Bellevue. Now, on a hyper-local level, a payroll tax in Seattle is great news if you're Bellevue, or if you're Kent, or if you're maybe Tacoma, because you're looking at that and saying, whoa, they're so foolish. They're so anti-business that they're going to push companies like Amazon, which built a good chunk of the city of Seattle neighborhoods as they currently exist. You're going to push them out. And you know what? They're going to come here because we're business friendly. And Bellevue as a city is incredibly business friendly. From the mayor, Lynn Robinson, to Jared Neuenhouse, council member, deputy mayor. Like, you have actual people across the aisle, both sides of the aisle, I should say, who are pro-business. And so they'll say, yeah, go ahead and do it in Seattle. But when you do it statewide, well, Bellevue doesn't really have an advantage, do they? Not when it comes to a business that wants to avoid the onerous tax of a payroll tax. So what do the folks in Bellevue know about the hyperlocal impact? A lot. What can they reasonably conclude about a statewide impact of a payroll tax? A lot. The mayor, Lynn Robinson, spoke to Como.
We definitely have room to grow. This would be detrimental to everybody, I think. It's really hard, but we're not doing it by taxing the very businesses that provide our city with the monies that we need to provide human services.
So you think the state should give local control and not try to just cram this down cities' throats?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It was a little editorializing, I think, from Chris Daniels, even though I certainly agree with his editorializing.
It's the good kind.
There is the right kind, I guess, literally the right kind. But she's, of course, correct. And what's so interesting about this, and I'm not going to pile on Chris Daniels for this because I don't know if he was at the press conference yesterday that State Representative Sean Scott held. I'm going to play for you in its entirety, right this moment, all of it, unedited, every question that was asked by a member of the media representing TV or the Seattle Times, Tacoma News Tribune, Spokesman Review, all, the newspapers, okay? And normally I wouldn't play full unedited audio, but this time I think it's worth it. Here are the questions that were asked by the reporters not named Brandy Cruz, who happened to be there. Here it is. That's it. Were you taking notes?
I didn't hear anything.
Exactly. They did not ask a single question. Unless it was edited out of the TVW press conference video, they didn't ask any questions. So what did they do? They showed up to this press conference. They let Sean Scott speak. They amplified everything that he said, didn't challenge anything, didn't question anything. They just let him do his deal. That's called propaganda. You might as well just have state-run television. Why have Como or King or Cairo or Fox 13? Why have the Seattle Times?
Change their names to Pravda.
Yeah, why not? Why not? I mean, you're standing in front of the lawmaker who's introducing these insane ideas, deeply damaging ideas. You might want to even just play devil's advocate. Why would you not want to do that? And again, I'm picking on Como a little bit here, even though, yes, they have a piece out today, which we're playing now, where they're getting the other side. Why not have anyone question Sean Scott? Ask him a tough question. And it was funny, there was a moment during this where Brandy was asking a question, then she's following up, and he's like, I'll answer more of your questions, Brandy, but I want to give other people a chance to ask, and if no one has any questions, don't worry, I'll come back to you. He went right back to her because no one else had any questions. That is embarrassing. That is embarrassing. Seattle media is awful. I'm sorry. I wish that weren't the case. I'm a member of Seattle media. It's a bad look. It's a really bad look. But we know what this is going to do. So maybe they're saying, oh, well, we're just going to attack him on all the. No, they're not. But they are, at least again, at Como's. They're talking to people. Rachel Smith, who chairs the Washington Roundtable, represents the private sector. She says this is a plan that's not really a plan, but it's presented as a plan. So what's the plan?
Feels more like one of those tax first, plan later proposals. Washington already ranks 46th in affordability, and we know that significantly increasing costs for businesses does not lower costs for families in Washington state.
This is obvious, right? I mean, we all kind of know. And you know, part of me wonders if the Democratic establishment, the leadership in Olympia, are a little upset that Sean Scott decided to introduce it in this way, because they're right now trying to convince all of us that they're not going to raise any taxes. They don't want to give folks like me, people like you, an opportunity to start screaming about this inevitability. Because then we're going to gain momentum, and it makes it more difficult politically for them to pass not just the payroll tax, but any other income tax or sales tax or property tax increase that they are inevitably going to raise, that they're going to pursue. So they're probably thinking, dude, why'd you do it now? You couldn't wait a month? We're just 3-ish weeks away, 3.5 weeks away from the legislative session? It's a shortened session, so fewer people are even going to be paying attention. It's going to be harder for momentum to build. Couldn't you just shut the heck up? They have to hold that position. And, you know, God bless Bob Ferguson, who's a lying liar who lies. We've got plenty of audio of him over the course of this show, but he was pleading ignorance when asked about the Sean Scott plan.
I haven't seen his proposal.
I don't know what is this? What is even a payroll? What I don't even understand. A pairale? Is that like an Italian dessert? I don't even know what a payroll tax is.
Well, first I've heard about his proposal. What I'd say is,
by the way, that is a lie. This is a lie. It's not the first time he's heard about this proposal. Do you think the governor of the party in charge, the governor from the party in charge, doesn't get at least a little bit of a heads up as to massive, controversial legislation that's being introduced? Are we supposed to believe that? Is that what we're? Oh, okay. Yeah. This is the first I heard of it. This Sean Scott character, who is he? Is it Sean with EA or is it SHAUN? Because that's the wrong way to spell it. Oh, he spells it the wrong way?
one thing I do know is that any potential revenue stream like that doesn't solve the budget shortfall we're trying to solve for this next year, right? That we have a multi-billion-dollar shortfall this next year. I want to be clear, not even looking out multiple years. And so by the time you get revenue like that in the door, it doesn't solve your problem that's right in front of us, which again is a multi-billion-dollar shortfall. So happy to take a look at that when that proposal comes around. I've not seen it specifically. Haven't spoken to him about it.
So weird that he can't just flatly reject it. I think he's learned his lesson. Because the last time he said he wasn't going to even entertain an increase in taxes, he decided to do more than entertain. A historic surge in taxes, just signed it into law. And I imagine he didn't like the fact that all of us could just play all the clips of him saying, oh, no, I'm not going to raise taxes. I would never. Clutching his pearl. How? I would never. How dare you?
It was kind of his George H.W. Bush moment. Read my lips.
Worse.
Yeah.
Worse. And the thing is, he got away with it. Again, media doesn't really question him too much on that. Jay Inslee did exactly the same thing when he was in office, right? When he was running for office, he said he wasn't going to increase taxes, and then he immediately increased taxes. It's what they do. These people are liars.